What is going on, everybody? Welcome to week 5, a giant week for all of us. And I'll get to that in just a second why. But we're going to be looking at Indian removal and the plight of the Native Americans during the early 19th century. So we're going to go through Carnes Chapter 7, National Growing Pains. I need you to read that. As well as Carnes Chapter 8, Jacksonian Democracy, which will play heavily into one of your discussion questions. There's also two really short articles I want you to read. The British view of the War of 1812, quite differently than Americans do, by Amanda Foreman. It's going to be kind of like the last, when we looked at the American Revolution, we looked at videos from the British side. We're also looking at, the other side of the pond again to see how they interpret the things that we've interacted with them. And then also we've got more of a contemporary approach this week as well. We have an article after the 2016 election written by Steve Inskeep from NPR. It's called Donald Trump and the Legacy of Andrew Jackson. It's kind of a compare and contrast, so I want you to read that. It'll really be helpful for your discussion question as well. We've got 3 videos this week, 2 really short ones. One actually by Johnny Cash. He's going to read a little primary source from the Trail of Tears, so that'll be fun for you music lovers. You got the Trail of Tears National Historic Trail documentary. It's 26 minutes, and then of course we have another American Experience, one of the best documentary programs out there that you can watch for free. Is We Shall Remain, and it's going to be part 2 to Tecumseh's Vision. So take a look at that. And then we have technically 5 things due this week. Okay. First thing's going to be Forum Discussion 9 and 10. You guys are picking this up pretty well. You understand what's expected of you. Some of you still aren't giving me any sources. I think if you pull anything away from my class, I say one of the most important things is going to be having sources. And also, 2 would be, how you prove where you got your sources too. So we talked about that earlier, where it doesn't matter the format you get me to, as long as I know where you found it. That's important. But in 2020, especially in these, very divisive times, when we have conversations with people online, a meme's not just going to cut it. You can just put whatever information you want. You need to have facts to back that up. And whether you engage in social media discourse or not, I refrain from it for lots of reasons, mostly for my sanity. But if you are someone that likes to discuss things politically online or historically, you got to be able to back those things up. That's why it's important with these discussion questions that you're going out seeking sources, good, reliable sources, and you're using those to fit your narrative if you need to. So, and some people consider that dangerous, but quite honestly, everyone has a narrative. Every historian ever has always had something he's been trying to tell you, and you got to keep that in mind for every single source, primary or secondary source. Everyone has a motive, and you need to understand what that motive is. And if you're trying to prove something, that's your motive, and you need to be able to do that with sources. So again, you guys are doing a great job with this, but just letting you know. So you got those, as well as quiz number 3 will be available to you. Make sure you've done all the reading, watch the videos, and then you can take the quiz. Remember, you need that respond to this lockdown browser. If you're having trouble with that, let me know. And then also the midterm, you need to have that done as well too. So don't let it scare you. I posted a study guide sort of earlier last week, and or later last week. And all I need to remember is, try to keep it. You have 8 that you could pick from. You have to respond to 4 of them, any 4 that you choose. Feel free to use any of your notes that you have. I always kind of keep it like an open book sort of situation for people. But make sure that you're lengthy. You got to have at least a full paragraph. And just because you have 4 sentences doesn't mean that's a full paragraph. Especially if you're breaking things up. The more you give me, the more that you write, the more I have to work with to give you a better grade. Just keep that in mind. Just keep giving me as much information as you can. So, yep. So of the 8, I'll ask you, and I gave you something you can kind of look at to kind of see what I'm looking for earlier or last week. Use that to kind of guide how that you're going to go through this week with the midterm. And yep, that'll be on the quiz and assignments page. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me first. I believe it is 90 minutes. If it's not, I will make sure that I adjust it so you have like 90 minutes to take the midterm. You shouldn't need that much time, but I'll have it for you. And then lastly, also on the quiz and assignment page is your thesis statement. So some people have been emailing me and been asking me like, is this good enough? Is this good enough? Well, it's good, but I want you to turn in your thesis to me. I'd like it by Sunday. I will give you points for it and approve it. You know it's good to go. If I write you back saying this isn't good enough, then we'll workshop it together. But I need to have it by Sunday. And again, people are asking me, well, what is this about? If you watch the videos and you're paying attention, it's any topic of U.S. history of your choosing. I want it before 1877 because that's in the ascertains to this class directly. So that's going to be important. I have a lot of people asking to do their projects on very large topics. Like I want to talk about, women in the 19th century. Well, that's like 100 years of history. You're going to squeeze that in 5 minutes? There's classes you could take on that. Pick a person. Pick a event. And then start with that. And we can whittle that together and figure something out. Do you have to have everything completely fleshed out? No, but you should have an idea of, if you're going to talk about George Washington, you're going to have at least 3 reasons why, whatever, from whatever the thing is that you're ascertaining to. So keep that in mind when you put this together. I don't need you to write the report before and I will, then turn you down. Like you have to put in a little legwork to create this thesis statement. You can't be just, I want to do it on the Civil War. That's it. I need more than that. So you just follow the directions on the thesis on the assignment page, which is again under quizzes, tests, and assignments. Fill that out, send it to me, and we'll take care of it from there. So that's a lot going on this week. And I know it's difficult because it's an online class and it's 8 weeks, but you guys are doing a great job so far. I know I throw a lot at you. Quite honestly, 8 weeks is not enough time to cover all this stuff, but we do the best that we can, and that comes from me and for you. But make sure you're putting in the time. I can see through my analytics who's logging in and when they're logging in, and the majority of the students are really just on Sunday for a little bit. You figure you get 6 hours of lectures a week. If this were a brick and mortar class, you should be spending at least 6 hours on this class a week. Unless you're super duper smart, then by all means, go ahead. And your grades are great. But I'm just saying the college is expecting you to have at least 6 hours, and that's just of like lecture time, let alone all the other things you have to do for a regular class. So make sure if you come to me and you're like, I'm having trouble, I'm struggling, you have to understand that I can see how much effort you're putting in as well too. So make sure you're doing that. That being said, extra credit time. Here's the deal. Follow these directions carefully, and only if you follow these directions carefully. Okay. On your first midterm question, at the end, if you put in all bold letters, Professor Lancaster is my favorite professor, whether it's true or not. You put Professor Lancaster is my favorite professor, all bold caps on the first question, right under at the bottom of your first question answered on the midterm, I'll give you some extra credit points. So it's a little fun thing to see how many people are actually watching the end of these videos. So I usually throw out a little extra credit once in a while. Just pay attention. It's there for you. So again, questions about that, let me know. Questions about anything, let me know. Other than that, have yourself a great week, and I look forward to seeing you going into week 6.